Okay, thank you for the opportunity to present my work and work of my colleagues. And the work is titled Using Raman Spectra of Teeth for Human Age and Gender Determination. My name is Ozren Gamulin, and I'm member of Department of Physics and Biophysics, School of Medicine, University of Zagreb, Croatia. So age and gender determination is one of the most common forensic procedure and has a wide range of applications, including identification of accident victims, crime investigation, and even social benefit regulations. And mineralized dental tissue are very advantageous due to their high resistance to post-mortem decomposition. There are three distinct approaches that can be used for age determination. The first one is the assessment of tooth morphological features by visual inspection or radiography. Then second is the evaluation of the tooth histological characteristic using microscope. And the third is the evaluation of biochemical composition of tooth tissues using various analytical methods. And in this case, we are using this third approach, and we are using Raman spectroscopy for determination of the age. We will divide this presentation into sections. One section is about age determination, and the other is in gender determination. There was two previous papers that are dealing with age estimation with Raman spectroscopy, but they are used just part of the Raman spectrum and observed so they observed certain ratios of vibrational bands, and also they observed healthy teeth. The present investigation simulated a more realistic scenario by including the teeth that were affected by common pathological processes like periodontal disease or dental caries. The spectral analysis is in present study was performed considering whole Raman spectra or whole recorded Raman spectra. And Raman spectroscopy is performed by accessing external surfaces of the teeth. The described approach was adopted to evaluate feasibility of Raman spectroscopic age determination by using non-destructive handling of teeth that were affected by various pathologies. The research hypotheses were Raman spectra obtained from the teeth would correlate with the donor age and gender, and different collection site of Raman spectra will influence accuracy of the age estimation models. Teeth was extracted at University Clinic at the School of Dental Medicine in Zagreb, Croatia. The soft tissues that remained after tooth extraction were removed using a plastic brush, and teeth were disinfected by soaking in 1% formaldehyde solution for 24 hours, and the teeth were stored in dark and dry containers at the room temperature. The age of the tooth donors ranged from 11 to 76 years, and most common pathological problem with those extracted teeth was periodontitis and failed endodontic treatment. Raman spectra were recorded at FT Raman accessory spectrum gauge spectrometer. Excitation line was 1064 nanometers. Each spectrum was recorded by averaging 100 scans in a spectral range between 3,500 and 200 centimeters at -1 with a spectral resolution of 4 centimeters. Spectra were collected at 3 distinct sites at crown, neck, and apex. You can see where they are collected on this image here. Laser spot with diameter of 0.25 millimeters was moved in scanning motion to collect Raman spectra for 10 different positions to catch all inhomogeneities that can appear on that tooth. Total number of spectra collected was about 30. After recording spectra, the spectra were baseline corrected and normalized using the vibrational band at 960 centimeters or PO4 stretching. And whole spectra was used for principal component analysis and principal component regression. To use this data with the principal to analyze this data with principal component analysis, we formed 7 age groups, and the list of those age groups are listed in front of you. Group 1 is 10 to 19 years old donor, and to group number 7, which were spectra collected for donors of 70 to 75 years belong. Here you can see example of those recorded Raman spectra. You can see here male and female, how Raman spectra of male and female tooth looks like. And they are almost indistinguishable at the first sight. Just after application of statistical analysis, the difference will show. Spectra generally can be divided in organic part, which goes from 1,100 centimeters to 3,100 centimeters, and inorganic part, which is below 1,200 centimeters. On this table, you can see major vibrational band of the Raman spectra of the teeth. So let's go to the result. First, we apply principal component analysis to those 7 groups where the spectra was recorded at tooth site apex and from the male donors. And we can see that distribution of those groups or classes are from right to left at the PC1 component, and younger groups were at the right side of the graph, and the older years are presented at the left side of the graph. After it, we applied principal component regression to make a model from which the age estimation can be done. We see here that model green line is line that represent ideal correlation between measured and predicted values or years, and red line is the line of actual correlation, and correlation coefficient is relatively high. It is 0.84. Calibration error was about 5 years, and cross-validation error was about 7.21 years. Then we applied similar process to spectra recorded at the female apex. We still keep our distribution of groups from the right to the left, from the younger ages to the older ages, but overlapping of those groups are much higher. And as a result, coefficient of correlation is a little bit smaller. It's about 0.728 with calibration error about 6.5 years and cross-validation error about 7.9 years. Then we go to a next tooth site. We go to the neck. First, we observe male neck, or we observed spectra recorded from the neck of the males. Spectra, spectra are still grouped, but they are grouped in less consistent manner because there are no clear separation according to PC1 component as we have in case of the apex. And of course, correlation is worse. Coefficient of correlation is 0.55. Cross-validation error is 11, and calibration error was 10. And the last one that I will present, we did it at the Crown too, but the results were very bad, so I will not present those results because there is no reason for it. For neck female, we have complete overlap of all groups, and they are completely arbitrarily distributed on this scatter plot of the scores. You see, this is the group 6, this is group 4, this is group E1, 5, 2, 3, and according so this distribution, principal component regression give us really bad result, but very low coefficient of correlation, 0.18, with calibration error 13.5 and a similar cross-validation error. We assume that any regression model for age determination depends on ratio of the variance that attribute to aging related changes and the uncontrolled variance due to various external factors, living style, inter-individual genetic difference, and so on. There are 3 mineralized tooth tissues: enamel, dentin, and cementum. These tissues differ by their fundamental physiological process and capability to respond for external stimuli, which affects their aging related to compositional changes. Apex, where we have the best results, is covered with cementum, and the fact that apical cementum is mostly protected from external influence and characterized by steady rate of production, renders root apex as appropriate spectra collection site for the age determination with principal component regression model. So for the conclusions of the first part of this presentation, we can say that study showed that age determination model based on principal component regression can be built using Raman spectra collected from the surfaces of non-sound teeth without any previous preparation. The optimal age determination capability was attained by using Raman spectra collected from cementum at root apex, where spectra collected from mineralized tissue at the tooth, neck, and crown were less suitable, and age determination model showed an optimal performance only when tooth donor genders were analyzed separately. So that fact give us idea for the next part of this presentation, next part of this work, where we try to find if it's possible to do to do gender differentiation between by the Raman spectra. Raman spectra of different tooth types. Recorded as two different. Just a second. Raman spectra from different tooth types, molars and premolars, are recorded at a different tooth sites, apex and neck were used for classification model, and we used two classification algorithms, support vector machine and artificial neural networks. What we done was, first we decomposed original data by principal component analysis, and then this data are used formation of data sets for classification with support vector machine and artificial neural network. Again, whole Raman spectra was used for PCA models. 4 data sets with respect of tooth type and collection site are made. So one is for molar apex, the second for molar neck, then premolar apex and premolar neck, and 2 joint data sets where both tooth types are mixed together. Dimensionality reduction of spectroscopic data was obtained by selecting scores of the first 20 principal components. The PC scores were then used for classification of data with respect to donor gender by means of support vector machine and artificial neural network. So let's take a look at the results. First, we analyzed capability of distinction between 2 genders by spectra recorded at apex tooth site, and we see that when they are recorded at premolars, we have a good separation, and similar separation we have at the molars. But when we mix them together, the capability of differentiation between genders is significantly reduced. There are the other tooth site, we observed what will happen with principal component analysis of the spectra which are recorded at the neck, and we get similar separation between female and male spectra. Each point on this graph is actually one representing one spectra used in this investigation. At molars, there is also good separation, and the separation is much worse with mixed combination of premolars and molars. So this results of PCA indicated that actually detecting gender using the Raman spectroscopy is possible, with comparison of spectra recorded at the same tooth site, apex or neck, and using same type of the tooth, molar and premolar or premolar. So we built 8 classification model with 2 different algorithms. There are 2 models for molars and premolars, with 2 models with apex and neck, and there are 2 more. All of that models goes to ×2 because there are 2 classification algorithms. Data are divided into calibration and validation data sets for each combination of tooth types and site in ratio 83 to 70%. Data partitioning was done by placing all spectra belonging to one particular tooth in the same data set, either calibration or validation. For both support vector machine and artificial neural network algorithms, calibration model were calculated 20 times, one for each for certain number of PC components from 1 to 20. First I will show you the results of cross-validation, accuracy that we get after cross-validation, and that accuracy was very good for all spectra recorded at molars, at apex and the root. It's a little bit lower in apex, in root than in apex, and we have same results for INN and SMM for the root collected spectra, but accuracy was lower for the artificial neural network from the spectra recorded at apex premolars and support vector machine recorded at apex of premolars. We assume that the reason for it is just a few outliers that come into the data set, and because number of spectra recorded on the premolars were relatively small, so validation set has also small number of spectra, accuracy was decreased. And after that, we make classification success rate. We applied validation data set to our classification model to get how good prediction was, and prediction for spectra recorded at molar apex was very good, between 82 to 93 or 4%. So in average, it's about 87%. It's a little bit lower for support vector machine than for the artificial neural network. For spectra recorded at the root of molars, we get a little bit lower result. It's about 70, in average, about 73%, more or less equal for the artificial neural networks and support vector machine. And premolars give us the worst result, that is the result that in average is about 60%, except few points for certain number of PC component that goes even to 75%. And in conclusion, in this work, this part of the work, it was shown that Raman spectra in combination with classification algorithm can be used for gender determination. Raman spectra were analyzed with principal component analysis, and classification models were built with classification algorithm, support vector machine, and artificial neural network. It is observed that accuracy of classification model depends both on tooth type, molar and premolar, and recording site, neck, and the apex on the tooth, and comparison of two used classification algorithms showed that models built with artificial neural networks result in slightly better classification accuracies, especially for models built with spectra recorded on molar apex. The reason for that difference between apex, and root is again with the deposition of cementum, which can be connected with masticular loading and lifestyle of the donor. So authors comes from different departments at the University of Zagreb. Most of them comes from the Department of Physics and Biophysics, then of School of Medicine, then from Institute of Forensic Medicine and Criminalistics School of Medicine, again University of Zagreb, and then we have co-authors that are a member of School of Dental Medicine from Department of Endodontics and Restorative Dentistry and Department of Dental Anthropology. Okay, and that's it. Thank you for your attention, and I am open for questions.